Hey everyone, Caleb with the Antique Book Collective, and today I'm getting to you guys with the video of planning your book buying road trip or your trip or whatever you want to call it. So obviously this is the final part or the pending final part for the your first book road trip series, playlist, whatever you want to call it. And it's going to be the one that I walk you guys through how to do the entire thing. So without further ado, I'm going to dive right on in. Alright, so you're planning your road trip, but the thing is, what do you want to plan it around? For me, I plan my book buying trips almost exclusively around the Friends of the Library book sales, those sort of book sales, the bigger ones, the ones that I know I'm going to find tens of thousands of books, or at least thousands upon thousands of books. Sometimes I do fudge those numbers. I'm like, well, this book sale says it's 500 books, but I think there might be more, or I've been there before and I know it has good books, but that's normally what I like to shape everything around, is the Friends of the Library sales. So if you guys remember from the previous videos, all you got to do to find your Friends of the Library book sales nearby is go to booksalefinder.com. So I'm on booksalefinder.com really quick, and I live in Oregon, as you guys probably all know, so I'm just going to click Oregon, pretty simple. So as you can see, I have Albany and Corvallis. Those are the two sales going on in January right now. As you can see, they started on the 14th and go till the 31st. They are clearance sales, so those are things that will appeal to me. So today, as of the time of me filming, I am filming on the 18th of January, so these two sales are going on right now. Generally, the Friends of the Library book sales go on just over the weekend. Sometimes I've been to some that they start on Wednesday and they go till Monday, so those are the longer ones. So these two sales, the Albany and the Corvallis ones, these are different from usual. If I recall correctly, both of these are going on for actual businesses that are going out of business. So Browsers and Browsers, both of them are the same one. So yeah, that's sort of what we're looking at for these two book sales. So for me, I'm just going to go onto Google Maps really quick for those of you guys that don't know. Don't know Oregon maps basically. So Google Maps, just going to type in Corvallis. That should automatically take me there. There we go. There is Corvallis. So I live all the way up here in Gresham. Corvallis is all the way down here, and Albany is right next to Corvallis. So honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if both these clearance sales are actually for the same exact store, since they basically are in the same exact area. But that is what I'm going to be looking at. So these two places, they are close enough that I would hit them both in the same trip if they're different locations. Obviously, if they're the same location, I'll be hitting them anyways, but that's just something you want to look at when you are looking up your sales. So again, for me, I am going to be hitting these if I decide to go on this. So right off the bat, I'm going to write that down in my sticky note. I'm going to go over the book sale finder thing, click on over to the Corvallis one. I'm going to write down the location of the store. So that's 121 Northwest 4th Street. And then let's just check if the Albany one is different. And oh, look at that. It is a different location. So I would write down that particular one as well. So I would just start off with that, and I'm going to end the screen share really quick to walk you guys through what I sort of do. Alright, so I moved on over into the corner so I can have some stuff over here. So what I have over here is what I usually will put onto a sticky note or whatever sheet of paper I end up writing out my planned trip on. So the very first thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to write down Albany for my book buying trip. So I'm going to do this in pencil because by doing it in pencil, it means I can come back and erase at any point in time. So I like to start out on the sticky note because by starting on the sticky note, I can then throw it out whenever I need and then transfer it onto a more permanent thing later. So first off, I'm going to hit Albany. Why am I going to hit Albany first? It's because Albany is the closest book sale on this trip. So I'm going to write out Albany book sale. I'm going to write that in the big letters so I know what I'm hitting. And then beneath that, for my own personal filing on how I do it, I'm going to then write the address, and then on the right side of that, I'm going to write about how many miles that is from my house to this particular book sale. And then, once I do that, I'm going to leave a blank area where I usually write in books, and then another blank area for how much money I spent. So the reason why I do these two things is because it helps me for coming tax season and also for just filing for my books. There are other things I include as well, such as if I get gas and that sort of thing, but that's just stuff that you guys will sort of figure out as you go on. Just be sure if you spend any money at any point in time, just be sure if you ever drive any amount of miles for your business, be sure you always write this down. I like to write it down in a steno pad. That's where I keep track of all my stuff, and then come tax season, I actually get to address all those things. So Once I hit the Albany one, I'm going to then write down the Corvallis stuff for the same exact thing. However, that is not the entire plan for the book buying trip. That's just the first two things. So I'm going to double back and fill things in as I go on to the next steps. So I'll see you guys in the next little bit of the screen share. All right, so I'm back down in my little corner for the screen share, and so let's pick back up. So we just finished finding the book sales that I'm going to be hitting theoretically on this trip. So the next thing that I usually do is I find the estate sales that will be on this trip. So I'm just going to hop on over. So I'm leaving the book sale finder thing open. I recommend you guys do this as well, so you can like circle back and double check what's where and all that sort of stuff. So going on to the estate sales, so I'm going to look up estatesales.net first. And then I'm also going to look up, give me a sec, estatesales.org, which is the other place that I always hit. And I'm just going to also find, while I am doing this, so Corvallis and Albany, as we went over, is in the same basic area. So I'm going to type in Albany zip code. And the reason why I do that is I want to type in a zip code that is actually close to where I am going to be doing this. So it looks like I should probably click the one for Oregon zip codes just to be safe. Yeah, because those other Albany ones were not Oregon's Albany. So just going to copy this one, going back on over to estatesales.net, just going to type on that zip code in, doing the same thing on estatesales.org, nice and simple. Going to close out of the zip code thing really quick. So as you can see here, I have one estate sale over in Wilsonville going on according to this one. According to this, it'll be on the 21st, and for me, that is my Friday, as it clearly says here. And for that, I can think, I'm like, okay, my book sales that I will be theoretically hitting, they are going on Friday, so I could do this. So let's just keep in our mind, Friday. Friday is the day that we might be doing this. And then on top of that, I'm going to go on to estatesales.net, which I personally find has more listings usually, but that's for my area. I find that other areas actually have more on .org. So it really depends on where you are. So going on to this, let's find other ones that are also on the 21st. We have these two. Looking at this, yeah, this is the same exact estate sale on the other one, the rusted trunk. So same one. So I'm just going to exit out of this one because I have it here. And I'm just going to open up both of these. I'm going to go through them really quick. So one's in Beaverton, one's in Wilsonville. Neither of those locations are too terribly close to Corvallis. So let's see if I can just pull it on up. So Wilsonville actually is sort of close-ish to it on my way. So as you can see, there's Wilsonville. Here's where I live. So I could hit Wilsonville on my way down to Albany and Corvallis. And let's see, where was the other location? So the other location was Beaverton, which is over here on the other side of Portland. So for me, I don't like going to Portland whatsoever. The people there are absolute jerks, and they drive like psychopaths, and all the pedestrians are psychopaths, so I don't go there. The closest I go to Portland is Airport Way, and I can drive on roads that there aren't people and there aren't cars, so I'm fine doing that. But besides that, I do not drive into downtown Portland. That area is scary. The people are jerks. So I won't go to the Beaverton sale. So right off the bat, I'm going to say I'm not going to go, but I'm just going to scroll through really quick and see if I can find some stuff. So just scrolling through really quick, I do see some books. There are definitely some books, so I'm going to click it. I know I don't want to go whatsoever. Looking at this, it looks like there's a lot of books, but none of them interest me. And the reason why they don't interest me is I can see that all of them are newer books, and as I've said before, I don't like to focus on the newer books. There's definitely money to be made on them, but I'll leave that to someone else. And I would say the oldest book they have here is probably from the 80s, and that's not very exciting for me. So between having to drive through Portland and the fact that they don't have the antique books for me, I'm not too interested. Of course, they might have other antique books at this particular estate sale. That happens all the time where they don't even get pictures of them. But again, it's Beaverton. I don't like driving through Portland. I know I've said that 1,000 times, but I really do not. I don't have words for how much I don't like going through there. So let's just go back to the Wilsonville one. Wilsonville, I actually like going to Wilsonville. I've had some pretty good luck with different estate sales there. So I'm a little excited about going through this one. So right off the bat, we see an old tractor, we see some old cars. So honestly, this is pretty cool. Part of me wants to go here just to pick up some tools because I'm a tool guy. I like fixing stuff. Some pretty neat things. I'm just scrolling through now though, try to find books. So here are magazines and cartoon books actually. Comics, that's the word. So I've never made good money on comics or magazines, really. I mean, I've had a couple where I made okay, but by and large, I end up not having any profits whatsoever, or I lose money. So I wouldn't go to this estate sale for just the comics. But the fact that this person has comics like that makes me think that they probably have other books nearby. So I probably would hit this on my way down to the Wilsonville thing. So I'm just scrolling through a little faster. So it looks like there's a cookbook maybe there. Maybe it would be worth checking out. Oh, there's definitely some cookbooks. And there's the Betty Crocker one that's not worth much. My family actually has that one, and I just made a recipe out of that a couple days ago. Good old coffee cake. So this one, the New York Times coffee cake could be coffee cake. I'm stuck thinking about that. Cookbook. This one could be worth checking out if I go to this sale. This one could be, probably not though. But yeah, I would definitely check out these different books that they have here, because they definitely could have one that was worth money. Here's some more books. It looks like this person likes stowing their books in random places. So this one right here, this big blue one, I would definitely check out. I check out the other ones as well, though, because I've recently found out that coffee table books actually can have a really good resale value. I have seen a couple that did, but evidently there's a good amount that do. So that's something that I would definitely be checking out. So just scrolling through a little more, going. Doesn't look like there's anything else too exciting. Just going through this really quick like. Yeah, it looks like it's basically everything that someone owned, which is always sad. Ooh, here we go, guys. So as you can see here, all these bluish green books, that's a set of books. Sets of books can sell very well. Odds are, if I went to this particular estate sale, if they were asking for $1 a piece for these books, I could get it for like half off or 75% off or something if you want to negotiate. This red book here, I would say, is worth checking out as well. Looking at it, I'd say it's probably from the 60s. This set of books is probably from the 60s to 80s. This is another set. It looks sort of like a homeschool set that I actually have. Oh, I don't have it on the shelf behind me, but yeah, I do have a set that looks sort of like that. But yeah, I would check out this shelf for stinking sure. These books here look interesting, and that one, basically everything on this bottom shelf. But yeah, I would check out this estate sale now officially because it's got some pretty cool looking stuff for me. Here's another shot. It's of the wheelchair, but you can see the books in it. So yeah, definitely some very interesting stuff in this estate sale. So I might be going to this one now. Wilsonville isn't actually too much of a drive for me, so that definitely makes it a little more appealing. That's interesting. A little moonshine still going on. I'm sure it's not actually for moonshine, but that's sort of what they look like. Just going a little further, some creepy magazines, ooh. Okay, so some Life magazines are worth it, but I'm just gonna keep on scrolling because I'm probably gonna edit that out actually, or blur that out because there was some inappropriate stuff. Ooh, more books here. So it looks like these books are older for sure, and this one here is probably one of the oldest. I'd say it's from the 40s to 60s. This one's an older one. Here's an older one. So cool stuff, definitely to check out. Going a little further. Doesn't look like there's much, but I've said that like 7 times already and been proven wrong, so I'm just going to go a little further. It's loading right now, but I'm just going to cut it right there because I think we've established that this particular estate sale is actually pretty stinking good and definitely would be worth going to. As you also heard, there was some more inappropriate stuff that I will be blurring out, so that is something you do have to worry about when you're going through books. I've been flashed so many times and it's so stinking annoying. It's definitely not something you go into this business thinking you'd be exposed to, and all of a sudden you're like, oh, I need to go to confessionals later. Wow, thanks a lot. So that's just something that you will have to deal with sometimes, is you will see some inappropriate books and pictures and all that jazz. So nothing very fun. So back to this. So it's a Beaverton sale. It starts at 12 p.m. and ends at 6 p.m. So that is actually something else I would add to the sticky note that I would write down, is I'd write down the hours that this particular estate sale is going, its address, that sort of stuff. And I'd write down also that it's an estate sale. And then I'd also write down how far I drove to go there, and of course how much money I spent and how many books I got. So that's all of that. I'm going to end this little screen share right here. I'll see you guys in the next little bit. Alright guys, so we have just found some estate sales. We found the book sales that we'd like to go to on this trip. So the next thing that I would say we should go to is probably go to Craigslist to check out what Craigslist has. See if Craigslist has any sorts of moving sales, estate sales, garage sales, all that sort of stuff going on the particular weekend that I'm hitting it on. So for some reason I'm on New Orleans right now. Let's knock it off. Let's get off that. So just going to navigate my way on over to Oregon really quick. So Ohio, Oregon, there we go. And I'm going to find Corvallis, Albany, which is luckily one of the locations. So just going to go to that so you can see all the different things that you can go to. I'm not going to click any of these. I'm going to go right on over to hit estate sale, if I can type. Gonna hit that, gonna hit enter, and it'll quickly populate. You can just go through really quick, see what pops up. Sometimes it automatically goes to stuff that you don't really care about, so I'm going to get off of housing. And so sometimes you want to check out for sale, sometimes events, so I'm going to check out just for sale for this really quick, see if that has what I want. So it looks like estate sale definitely is what I want and what I have. So we have something going on January 12th that has already passed though. So I'm just going to scroll down to see if I can find something for January 21st, which is this theoretical trip that I'll be going on since it starts Friday. So just going to go through, there's the 18th. So I'm going to open the 18th one. As you can see, here's the date right here. Oh, that's December 18th. I've been bamboozled. Gonna keep going, keep going. So it doesn't look like there's anything for what I need there for estate sale. So I'm going to type in garage sale. Nice and simple. So waiting for garage sale to load. As you can see, here's some stuff. So January 18th, so it's just got posted today and it's theoretically going today. Just going through huge moving sales. So sometimes moving sales do show up with garage sales. I'm just going to hop on really quick, going through these things really quick. It doesn't look like they have any books, so I'm getting out of that, on to the next thing. Ooh, a treadmill. Going, going, going. Here's something that's already passed, but sometimes they have them go longer, so I'm just gonna check it out really quick. Nothing very exciting, so exiting out of that. So I'm just going to assume after going through what I've gone through that there's nothing going on the particular day that I'm going to be doing this. That's not guaranteeing that there won't be something the day of that gets posted. People wait until the day of so often. So before you leave, I actually recommend you check it out. So I would normally give like 30 minutes before I took off for a book buying trip. I would normally spend that time checking out Craigslist, and then I would check out to make sure that everything else is still going on. There have actually been a couple times where that hasn't been the case. In another video, I mentioned how Pendleton, I drove all the way out there and they stopped the sale at the last minute before I got there, and no one was notified, so that was so annoying. But generally, I've been able to catch every single one up until then. So, of course, you don't have to do that, but it is a good way to catch some extra sales. Honestly, I have found that the Craigslist sales have not gotten me as much money as the effort I put into doing them, but I still like doing them just in case I eventually find a $10,000 book or something, you know. So that's just what I like to do. And so with that said and done, I'm going to end the Craigslist section and move on to the next part. All right, so this is the final part, and for this part, it is the Goodwill outlet side of things. It's the Goodwill stores side of things. So for me, when I have a book buying trip, and if I think that I might not be totally busy the entire time that I'm out, you know, like if I think that I'm only going to spend 15 minutes at this place, half an hour here, maybe an hour here, and if I'm only going to spend X many hours driving, and if I know that I still have like 6 hours left of working time left in the day, then I will fill that time in with Goodwills. And I honestly don't care for normal Goodwill stores too much, but sometimes I will stop by to see what they have, especially if I haven't been to that particular store before. One other thing that I do go to, though, is Goodwill outlets. So for me, I actually have never been to the Goodwill outlet in Salem. I know it's sort of weird to think, but I mean, Salem to Gresham, where I live, that's a few hours, and like, why would I do that drive if I have a Goodwill outlet here up just a little like, I think it's let me think really quick. I think it's like a 15-minute drive for me to go to my Goodwill outlet. Or I could go, I think it's a little over half an hour to go over to the one in Vancouver for their Goodwill outlet. So, like, for me, I don't have the reason to go to the Goodwill outlet in Salem. Not on my normal day-to-day activities, at least. However, if I'm doing estate sales and a book buying trip all the way down here. So let me just trace my trip. So starting here in Gresham, I'm going down, hitting Wilsonville, so there's that. And then I go a little further, and then if I think that I have time to burn, I could hit Salem. I could hit Salem's Goodwill outlet, and then I'll keep on going, and then I'll hit the Albany and then the Corvallis one. Or alternatively, I could hit the Wilsonville estate sale, skip Salem, go to Albany, Corvallis, and then if I have time left over, I could double back to go to Goodwill Outlet. Honestly, it really depends on how you like doing things. So for me, I would be fine doubling back and hitting Goodwill Outlet because I have to drive home. And for me, I would do all of this in one day. All told, I would say this entire trip would take like maybe 8 hours, 12 hours of driving, and also going to the different places, getting a bite to eat, filling up gas, all that sort of stuff, I would say is just a normal work day. And this is something that I would do on Friday. I could do it on Saturday or any other day as well, but for the Wilsonville estate sale, it said that they didn't have it going on for those other days. I could always call and ask, hey, are you going on for Saturday? And if not, then I will have to do it Friday if I want to go to it. But it really just depends on what you guys want to do. So something else that I always like to do, though, is I always like to give myself some wiggle room in my time, just a little bit of wiggle room. And with that wiggle room, it allows me to drive around town. So Albany and Corvallis are a little larger of towns, so I would say most of their things that they have, all their estate sales, garage sales, I would say those things would be advertised on Craigslist and the estate sales sites that I go to. However, when you go to smaller towns, so let's just say Mill City, which I've actually been to a couple times. Haven't done any estate sales or anything there. But Mill City, it's not a very large town. Honestly, it's a pretty cute town. I'm just going to bug you guys really quick and just plop the little Google guide there. So, as you can see, it's a small town. I think this is the highway right here. It won't let me click. Oh, let me click. But yeah, just a small town. And when you have smaller towns, the people don't really do as much stuff on the internet, I find, at least in general. Of course, there are the people that do a lot of internet stuff, and those that do end up like converting the entire town over to Goodwill Outlet things. But the fact of the matter is, when it's a smaller town, not everyone is as tech savvy, and their internet speed isn't as fast, so they might not be as into the entire internet idea. So because of that, they won't put their sales onto this internet. So when I go to these places, I like to actually drive around town just a little bit, see if I can find any estate sale signs, garage sale signs, moving sale signs, or find even like some thrift shops that are just poking around, that sort of stuff. And something else, I just like small businesses. I like small communities. I like everything about the whole small side of things. So I mean, honestly, if I'm going through this town, if I'm hitting a estate sale, I'll probably find a restaurant in here, and I'll hit up the restaurant and be like, hey, what you guys got? And maybe I'll find out what's going on in the town. And I've done that in a lot of different places, not in Mill City again, but I've done it on one of my trips over all the way to Walla Walla. I've done it in Walla Walla. I love Walla Walla. So I did it there. I did it over in Milton Freewater. I've done it in Pendleton. I've done all that sort of thing. Pendleton isn't a small city, but I've done it all over, and I've had a whole lot of fun doing it. There's a lot to experience, and of course there is all the other places you can make money. Honestly, I don't make a whole lot of money from the garage sales and estate sales. Well, actually, estate sales do pretty well, but like garage sales in general, I don't make a whole lot of money at a lot of them, but sometimes I do, so that's why I still go to a lot of them. I don't normally stop to go check them out. Like, I normally drive by just once to make sure I can see books or see something that looks sort of like they might have books. That's what I normally like doing, just so I don't have to pull over and waste time if I don't have to, but that's sort of what I like doing. So, long story short, that's my basic idea for a trip. I'm just going to type in Gresham to Corvallis drive time really quick, just to show you guys about how long it says it should take. So that's an hour 50 minutes, so not very long. That's 2 hours. Let's say I stop at the Wilsonville thing, so that'll add probably 30 minutes, let's just say, for the detour. Then let's say another 30 minutes to an hour for the entire buying the books, all that sort of process. So that puts it up to 3.5 hours before I can get to Corvallis. So that's not a lot of time. That's definitely something I can squeeze in. Of course, you do have to keep in mind when the estate sales hours are and when the book sales hours are. You don't ever want to just show up to something right as it's closing. That's just a jerk move. And on top of that, you don't want to miss this sale. So be sure to write down the times that these things are going on as well. But long story short, planning your trips, it's remarkably easy. I know it's something that might seem daunting, and I know that I put in like 30,000 steps, but it really just boils down to figure out what direction you're driving. So are you going north? Figure out what's going on to the north of you. If you're going on a really long one, you can hit like 55 things on your way. It's really up to you. Or you can do this entire trip and just hit one book sale. Or you can hit just 2 things. It really depends. I think the most that I've ever done on just one book buying trip in one day, I think the most I hit was like 13 places all. that was absolutely crazy, and I was like zooming all around, but I made some pretty good money. It was really fun as well because I really like driving around and checking out all these places, especially when I'm not driving in Portland. Cough, cough, I'm mentioning that again. But I've had a whole lot of fun, and I've also done trips where I've done a couple days on this particular trip. So I'm not going to bug you guys with that whole story today, maybe in another day. But yeah, there are so many ways that you can do this. There are so many ways you can plan your trips, and when you plan it, when you're doing it, when you're doing all that stuff, and when you're spending money, be sure to write down everything that you can, because tax season, there are so many write-offs that you can take, and that's one of the best benefits to this entire business, in my opinion, is the fact that you can take all these stinking write-offs. It's not like all these other businesses out there where it's like, oh, you can write off this many things. There are hundreds of things that you can write off on this particular business, so that's really cool for me. So I hope that really helps you guys. I hope that you are motivated to go on your next book buying trip, and I hope that you guys can drive really far and hit a lot of places, because that means you're going to find a lot of books, and you're going to save a lot of books from going into the dump, because, as I always say, if we're not buying them, then that's where they're going to go. So help me save some books, subscribe, like this video, check out one of the other videos. They're in one of these corners on my side, and I'll see you guys in the next one.